everyone knows that pollution is bad for health, but nobody really cares. You probably don't know that pollution kills about 6 to 9 million people per year, but even that you probably don't care. I want to talk about something that you will care about if you knew, which is
6 to 9 million people a year?
Yes, we will come to that. That's not the important part of the show, okay?
Okay.
The important thing is that pollution makes you dumb, okay? Your JEE results will go down on polluted days. So that's what I want to talk about. The impact on your brain, your thinking, your cognition, your
JEE
IQ,
results!
And JEE, right? So that's what I want to talk about.
All right.
And this is not something people talk about much, even though there is tons of research. There are papers after paper
Wait,
after
you're
paper.
serious?
Yes, I'm serious. Let me give some examples, okay?
Pollution is making me dumb.
Well,
More dumber than I am. Fine.
Yes.
More dumber.
So,
see, there you go.
A 2019 paper shows that chess players make more mistakes on polluted days.
But chess players don't play outside. Chess players, it's an indoor game.
The pollution comes indoor, okay? Outdoor pollution and indoor pollution are two different things. Both of them make you dumb, okay? There is enough research on both those areas. Okay,
see, I'm already so dumb I didn't know about indoor pollution. Apparently it exists.
So for example, a pollution is counted using these particulate matter, right? PM 2.5 and PM 10.
Yeah.
So 2.5 is particles that are smaller than 2.5 micrometers.
Okay.
10 is particles that are smaller than 10 micrometers. So PM 2.5 just floats. It comes into your rooms.
Like
right?
that.
So in fact, New York Stock Exchange, which is like proper indoors with AC and all of that. There is a 2016 paper which shows that on polluted days, the NYSE Stock Exchange returns are lower.
Wait, okay. Wait, what does returns have anything to do with people being dumb?
Right. So the basic idea is that if the market is being efficient, right? When somebody sells a stock, it finds the right buyer and stocks go up. When you are unable to find buyers, basically there's a mismatch, efficiency is lower, and that's why stocks go down. Okay. In fact, the research went into more detail, right? It figured out that volatility increases on pollution days, which means that, you know, things are either suddenly going up too much or going down too much, which is a clear sign of people making basically dumb decisions. Right?
I have a theory about this, especially because we've recently done something, but I'm going to hold on to that theory for a bit.
We'll come, So also pollution reduces patience, increases risk aversion, because you can't think clearly, so then you get a little more conservative about everything. All of this leads to worse price discovery, and that is why the stock market goes down.
Okay.
Indoors.
Okay.
You want outdoors?
Yes, please.
Outdoors. 2018 paper which shows that baseball umpires make more mistakes on polluted days.
If it applies to baseball umpires, it also applies to cricket umpires. But then one argument could be made is that if there is smog, then umpires cannot see clearly, so they obviously make mistakes.
No, we are not talking about smog, okay? We are talking about PM 2.5, PM 10, which is not visible in the air. It is not, we are not talking Delhi levels pollutions, okay? That is a different ball game altogether. We are talking
and that causes even other problems.
Regular pollution, like the kind of, I mean, a polluted day, according to this research, is typically 15 micrograms per meter cube. Okay. That would be an AQI of around 20, 30 or 40 or something like that, right? Which would be like a ridiculously clean day in Indian cities.
I was just going to say, because in India, in Pune specifically, I remember
150 plus is considered
a good day.
Minus 150 plus, and then we start worrying a little
how
bit.
Polluted it is.
Correct. So 15 plus is considered polluted as far as this research. You won't see any smog or anything, but your brain starts reducing. Okay.
Editor,
one more.
You might want to bleep this out. We are royally Rogered, aren't we?
So, well, the good news is that on polluted days, even politicians stop thinking clearly. Okay.
Wait, hold on.
Canada. Okay. A 2019 paper showing that on polluted days, Canadian politicians give speeches that are less complex. Okay, they sat and analyzed.
Could it be possible that they have already figured out the importance of pollution on IQ, and on polluted days they don't want to tax people's IQs too much? In that sense, they are actually very intelligent.
Well, if you have politicians like that, maybe it is true in your universe, but not ours. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So, but. I can totally imagine you going, I'm not a chess player, I am not a baseball umpire, how does it matter?
I was just about to say that I am not a chess player, I am not a baseball player, I am not a politician for sure.
Okay.
Never wanted to be.
Let's talk about impact on regular people.
Please, let's do.
The most important regular people is children.
Is you and me. Okay, so children also.
Students, there is lots of research showing that students in schools that are in polluted areas have worse scores than students in schools that are less polluted.
Okay. Rural, urban, rural, less polluted, urban, more polluted, that argument kind of breaks down?
No, so it is not rural, urban.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, the people doing this research are not idiots, right? They have heard about everything that we talk about in our episodes, right?
Right.
So they control for such factors. In fact, let's take one very specific example. Okay. Generally, it is known that if a school is near a highway,
right?
Okay, it is more polluted and the test scores there are lower.
Okay.
And if your school is further away from a highway, test scores are higher.
I didn't know that, but that's interesting. Yeah.
Right. No, but when we were preparing for this episode, you came up whining that, oh, it's not the, what if it's not the pollution? What if they're just distracted by the noise?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. So these people are smart. One group went and did the following research. Okay. They took schools which are the same distance away from the highways.
Okay.
But half of them were downwind from the highway and half of were upwind.
Okay.
Right? So half the schools were getting the pollution in and other half of the schools, the
pollution wasn't affecting as much. Okay.
Whereas the distance was same. So the sound and other distraction would have been the same. And they found that schools which were downwind had lower test scores, more absences in school, and more behavioral incidents.
So schools that were being affected by the pollution had...
everything was worse.
Everything was worse. Okay.
Okay. That is one. Other research. So this is 2019 research, right? 2016 research showed that on more days with more pollution, test scores were worse. A 2014 research in Israel showed that for their national exam called the Bagrut test, which is probably similar to JEE, I'm assuming.
Or NEET or whatever it is.
When the center was in a polluted location, the average score at that center was worse than the exam scores of students in centers with less pollution. Okay.
Okay.
So,
see,
a lot of research.
I know that's a lot of research, but okay, now I have to bring out the big gun, and I'm really sorry. We recently did an episode on the null hypothesis, on being fooled by randomness.
Yes.
And we've been talking about how sometimes there can be simpler explanations, Occam razor, Hanlon's razor and stuff like that. What is the possibility that there is a simpler explanation for this? For example, with the highways, could be that there is a time difference because...
No, so you're right. Okay. I mean, how do you know it is not just correlation? How is it causation and so on, right? There are two very important ways in which science does this, right?
Okay.
The gold standard is what is called a randomized controlled trial.
RCTs, yes.
RCT, as in you break up your experimental subjects into two groups randomly. Okay, they don't get to choose.
Okay.
So this ensures that there is no confounding factor. Randomly you break it up into two groups. One group is given placebo and one group is given the experimental drug or whatever, right?
Correct.
So we do an RCT on pollution. Okay. Take pregnant women. Okay. Randomly assign half of them to live in a polluted place throughout their pregnancy and the other half live in a nice clean place, and then we check whether the babies born in polluted places are dumber than the other babies.
That
Sounds good?
seems ethically incredibly wrong. You
Okay.
you
So
can't
you're right.
put pregnant women in polluted areas and expect them to be, okay, fine, we are doing research for science.
So you're right. Actually, we can't do this. This is illegal, ethically illegal, pretty much anywhere in the world.
Unethical,
Yes.
illegal, immoral, all of them.
In fact, that is, some people call this one of the problems with RCTs, that you can't have RCTs for the important stuff, right? But
I'm glad.
our scientists, the one who lives in less polluted areas, are quite smart. Okay.
What did they do?
What did they do was that they look at natural changes which give you it's called a natural RCT. In New Jersey, right, at toll nakas, when an easy pass system was implemented, right?
Okay.
It is kind of like our FASTag, but much better. In FASTag, you still have to stop there and wait until that thing
Scanner does
right?
its thing. Yeah.
No, here, the car just zips through. You have to go a little slower, but the system reads it. So nobody stops.
Okay.
So when that was implemented, they did a before and after experiment on those locations. Okay. What they did.
So before the cars had to stop, pay the toll, and then go.
Yeah, and
Easy
so
pass?
those areas, there would be a lot of cars waiting there.
Correct.
There would be a lot of congestion. There would be a lot of pollution.
Correct.
Right. Whereas after Easy Pass, all the congestion, pollution went away.
Correct.
Right?
Okay.
So
makes sense.
what they found was that the babies born just before, okay, versus the babies that were born
in that area around
in that area within less than 2 kilometers from the toll booth, right? So what they found was that the Easy Pass system reduced premature births by 10% and low birth weights by 11%. Okay.
All right.
One more thing which helps scientists tell the difference between just correlation and causation is called the dose response curve, right?
Dose as in the greater the dose, the bigger should be the response.
Right. So in medicine, if I give you double the medicine and your temperature goes down by twice as much, right? Then I know that this particular medicine is causing the temperature to go up and down, right?
Fair.
Whatever. Basically, if there is a curve where higher dose has more response, we see that take that as evidence that this is causation, right?
And not correlation.
In case of the pregnant women living near the toll booth, right? The difference was much higher for women living closer to the toll booth and a little lower for women living a little further away.
So
and
there was a dose of pollution which caused a specific response in women living near the toll booth and away from the toll booth, and that was
and beyond 2 kilometers, there was no difference over the same time period. So clearly,
moral of the story: stay 2 kilometers away from any toll booths where cars are likely to stop and create pollution.
Correct.
Well, that's not the only moral of the story, but clearly this wasn't a correlation. This was definitely a causation, and that was proven by a natural RCT caused by changing the toll booth from a manned toll booth to an Easy Pass or a FASTag kind of a toll naka.
I can imagine you telling me that you're neither a premature baby nor a student in school. Why should you worry? Right? So, to 2016 paper, which actually went into office buildings, okay, and did cognitive tests on people. They made them solve problems, and they saw that higher pollution office buildings resulted in lower scores on cognitive tests, right? So it affects people in offices.
Yeah, okay. See, one of the arguments I can give for that, and of course I'm sure that the researchers did control for this variable, is that higher pollution office buildings also mean that they are in higher populated areas, which means the spread of your IQs is extremely all over the place. Yeah, you can't really blame, and there are days when there is too much of...
You are saying that people who live in bigger cities are dumber.
Isn't that true though? I mean, just look at us. Except he's an exception, and the exception always proves the rule. So look at me. Bigger cities.
We should actually do an entire episode on the fact that exception proves the rule makes no sense. That sentence makes absolutely no sense. Okay,
but it's there is a thing you say, Navin.
No, there is no such thing you say. Okay, either you say it because it makes sense, otherwise you don't say it. We'll do an episode on that. You just wait. Okay.
Okay, for the moment, let's assume that, well, not assume, the scientists, the researchers have proved that pollution does make you dumber. It does cause an impact on your IQ and your health and whatnot. Health, too, definitely. But what, if any, could be the longer effects? Like,
yeah, so I mean, I can imagine you saying that, okay, fine, you know.
I am saying that. You don't have to imagine me saying that.
I will spend some time in pollution and I will get away and I will retire to the countryside and then become smart again, right? It doesn't work like that. So they have done studies.
Smart again, you have to be smart first. Anyway, go on.
Less dumb. So they did done studies on long-term exposure, and I just mentioned a couple of studies.
Okay.
So one is that a 2019 paper showed that for every 10 micrograms per meter cube increase in pollution, right, the chances of Alzheimer's in old age increase by more than 3 times.
Okay.
All right. Similar study in 2018 showed that chances for Parkinson's also go up. Okay. A study of 20,000 elderly women showed that every 10 microgram per meter cube increase, okay, in the long-term exposure to PM 2.5 and PM 10 is equivalent to aging by 2 years in terms of higher brain power. In China, a paper which just did analysis, not an RCT kind of a study, but just based on their analysis, they believe that if people would move to a place with less pollution, less than 50 microgram per meter cube, that the median person would go from 50 percentile to 63 percentile in verbal scores and from 50 percentile to 58 percentile in math scores just by moving.
So moving away from a polluted place
to a less than 50 AQI place
helps restore some of that lost IQ, restore some of that dumbness that has crept in.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. This, you know what this brings to mind is that work from home is actually useful for everybody, because people, if they work from less polluted areas, will actually be able to be more productive because their IQs are better, their reasoning is better, they are not as dumb.
Yeah, so I should point out, I mean, generally there is an anti-principle in our episodes where you talk about the opposite, and that, I mean, pollution does affect everybody at all times, but to a large extent the impact is small. Okay, it's not like huge difference. Whereas there are other aspects of the situation that might change
social and sociological aspects.
And so, example, right, moving to a less polluted school will increase the scores if all other things are equal. But if the polluted school has much better teachers, then the pollution isn't going to fix that, right? A teacher has such a big impact that small differences because of pollution won't change it, right? And that's something similar can be argued by all these CEOs who are saying that you need to come into office.
Coming into office is something that I have strong opinions about. But then again, I'm living a freelance life for various other reasons. What you're essentially saying is there are a lot of confounding variables, a lot of confounding factors that go into it.
Yeah, but big picture to keep in mind is, again, there are some studies as an analysis, which claim that a 10% increase in pollution reduces GDP of the country by around 1 percentage point. Okay, so this has impact on GDP.
You're talking about increase in pollution. So it also depends on what the base GDP of the country is before the pollution increases and all of that. Like I said, there are a lot of confounding variables.
We should be talking about is decrease in pollution, which will make the GDP go up.
Yes. But decrease in pollution for a developing country is another difficult target to achieve, etc., all of that. What bothers me is that we are assuming that the researchers have ensured that there are no confounding variables, but in various examples that we just took, there seem to be some confounding variables. So I am trying to figure out how much of this is a direct impact to me in my life.
So you are asking what do I do with this information? Because
essentially
you are not running the country, you can't reduce the pollution. So what can you do, right?
Yes.
Have we made a list of that, Shrikant? Let us see.
He always does.
Okay.
It's very dramatic of him, but he always makes a list of "Main kya karu? What do I do?"
Yes. So here are the things that should be considered. You could consider, right?
Please.
One is, if wherever you are staying, if you stay a little away from the street, in the same area but away from the street, the pollution is going to decrease and the impact is going to decrease because there is a dose response curve there, right?
Yeah.
Another could be move to a place that reduces your commute, because the amount of time you spend on the streets is one of the biggest factors, right? Pollution inside your home is less than the pollution on the streets.
Reducing your commute and moving away from pollution is very paradoxical, unfortunately.
I'm giving bunch of possibilities.
Okay.
Not all of them will be applicable to you, right? Another possibility is buy an air purifier for the home, for the office. Okay.
I'm going to go and buy air purifier stocks now.
Or plan your outdoor activities by figuring out the local AQI fluctuations, right? You know what are the peak hours. I mean, AQI is published by many cities now, and you can see which time of the day has better AQI.
Yeah.
Plan your outdoor activities around that, right?
Pune has SAFAR, I think, SAFAR, which publishes AQI every day.
Another thing is that pollution affects older people much more. So, maybe do something to keep them extra protected. Right?
Also, does this mean that in polluted areas, wearing these masks, anti-pollution masks, not N95s, but whatever, some anti-pollution masks is a good idea?
I don't know that. I tried looking up research on that, and it seems mixed because, reducing the pollution using mask has a beneficial effect, but then also it makes, there is one paper showing that during COVID, when chess players had to wear a mask, their performance went down, right? So masks have a negative effect also.
Yeah, but that could be the confounding variable of the mask being a foreign object on the face, which they are not used to for their games, so it throws them off. And again, some of these I am not very sure of the confounding of whether they've considered all confounding variables. So I have some reservations, but overall I can see that there is definitely correlation leaning towards causation of pollution making you dumber.
Correct. So basically what you are saying is that you would put kids in a school with less pollution, and when it is time to pick a JE center, you will pick one with less pollution, right?
Can you pick a JE center? I didn't know that. If that is possible, then yes, I definitely would. But yeah, again, I would probably let the kid choose their JE center, because sometimes having friends around is also an additional boost of confidence.
Yeah, that is, I think, the important principle to keep in mind, that the effects are small, so you have to always keep track of counterbalancing things. But pollution is everywhere. It is going to be with you throughout your life. So the small things all add up. So
which is why the longer term thing that he mentioned about Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, that is something that we definitely need to think carefully about. So pollution is making you dumber, and this becoming dumber thing will affect you in the long term. So make a note of that. Shrikant, Navin, FutureIQ.
Thank you.
Your future IQ is dependent on pollution.
I did mention that 6 to 9 million people per year die early because of pollution. There is a link here, check it out. There's lots of work done on this, but I want to point out to you to keep this in mind. Every year, the number of people who die because of terrorism is 25,000, war is 50,000, HIV/AIDS is 680,000, murders is 470,000. The only two things that cross a million are road accidents at 1.3 million and obesity at 2.8 million.
And pollution
kills at least 6 million, if not 10.
Wow.
Thank you for watching till the end. If you liked this episode, check out these others. You might like them also. And please share with your friends. I'm sure they will also like these. Thank you.